Check podcasts.
The Bread and Butter Collective is a collection of hospitality professionals working together to help strengthen our industry to build strong culture, community, and sustainability.
I'm Kalen McNeil.
And I'm Sam Jones. And this is the Bread and Butter Podcast. Welcome to the Bread and Butter Podcast.
Good morning.
Good morning, Marianne. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Did you have a nice week so far?
It's been a challenging week.
Yeah, I guess so. You and the entire crew at the Victoria Public Market, I guess, had lots to talk about in the last week or so, haven't you?
There's been a lot to talk about, and we just pulled the rip tie on La Pasta Pizza. So the last serving day that we have is next Friday. So I just pull it faster. Let's get this over with.
So when this airs, that will be tomorrow.
Yep.
I think. Wow.
Yeah.
So tomorrow is your last chance to get La Pasta at the Victoria Public Market tomorrow.
Yep.
Go get it.
And then next week, which will be when this airs, we'll be announcing a really amazing local new partnership with Roast.
Yes, I can't wait to have that disclosed. Speaking of disclosure, we have opened the studio today to a guest that you brought in. Thank you very much. And we'd like to disclose more and learn more about this guest.
Yes.
Marianne, over to you.
Thank you. Please welcome Jason Chan. I know Jason, obviously he's an industry friend, but we're always in passing. We're either texting each other on social media, passing each other in our shops, or on the soccer field because both of his daughters play soccer. My daughter plays soccer. So it's always in passing, and I've never had the chance to really get to know him. I know he is a local legend, and I just want to know more about his story, successes, challenges. I just want to get to know you a little better.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate that. Those are very kind words, and I'll take them.
Yeah, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks
and may I say, you have a very nice voice, very dulcet tones.
I've heard that. It's usually from older women.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, now it's from an older man. Let's get to know you a little bit. You've been how long have you been doing the Village? Because you own the Village.
I do.
Ghost Ramen.
Yeah, I'm a partner in all of them.
Okay.
I've got my hands in all of them. We've had it now for, I want to say Estevan's going on like 12 years. Mm-hmm. And then it was the Village prior to that for about 6 years. So Estevan, the Village, has almost been around for 20 years.
Yeah, right.
It's amazing.
I just did that math. But yeah, so that's been good. I think Royal Oak, we had our 10th birthday maybe a year ago.
Okay.
And then Torquay is coming up on we had a 10-year deal, and that's being negotiated right now. So Torquay's almost been around for 10 years, believe it or not.
And where's Torquay?
Torquay is in Gordon Head.
That's the Torquay Village?
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. So those are the three villages, and then we have our Ghost Ramen downtown, which was a village, which we can kind of unpack how that became a ramen concept later. But sometimes life...
Yeah, I get it.
You get it. Of all the people here, you get it. Yeah. And sometimes life just throws you a bit of a curveball and you just swing. That's it. Mm-hmm. Right? Ghost is there now.
Right. So the Estevan was your first one?
It was. Yeah, it was.
And how because it was a Jewish deli before, breakfast spot, Jewish deli kind of feel to it?
Yeah, I can give you like the Coles notes of the Village. So the Village was started by the Blades family. Mm-hmm. It was a mom and a dad. And it's funny, I just listened to Anthony Bourdain's audiobook, again, like Kitchen Confidential. Mm-hmm. And he's got a chapter about like the three people that shouldn't open restaurants. So they fell into one of those categories.
Amazing.
Yes.
So dad was a professor at UVic. Mom had great family Jewish recipes. Mm-hmm. And then every time she would invite people probably over for lunch, hey, you know what you should do?
Yeah.
What should you do, Sam?
Right.
You should open a restaurant. You should sell that.
Yeah, let's
easy.
it's so easy. Let's open a restaurant. So they opened the Village Cafe and Deli as a Jewish deli. I assume they were kind of going after Katz's, kind of that kind of New York deli kind of vibe. But they had all the bases there. Like they had their Montreal smoked meat, they had their latkes, they had their challah bread, they were doing matzo ball soup. And then they struggled. You know, it wasn't as easy opening a restaurant as they thought. And at the time, they had two sons that basically came in and took it. And when the sons took it over, I think they both had some restaurant experience.
I think they really liked food, didn't they?
They did,
The
yeah. And they were
brothers.
honestly like they're great guys because we ended up working together for about a month. But when they took it over, what they recognized is that they weren't selling like a ton of the Jewish food as much. They had a big Jewish following, but what they were selling a lot of was breakfast.
Okay.
And so like you're talking, this was almost 20 years ago. So this was, you know, at the boom of, and even for me, like, you know, you watch the lineup at Blue Fox and John's Place. I mean, this brunch thing has been going on way before
longer.
the jams and the villages of the world. Right. So the boys were just like, hey, we're selling mostly breakfast. Let's just call it the Village. Let's make it more mysterious, more that one word kind of brunch concept. And then they ended up creating the Village out of it. Anyways, long and short of it, was I used to have a family restaurant called Samuel's. I grew up in the restaurant business.
Wow.
Okay.
And then that sold to a developer.
Where was that?
That was where the what's it called now? I think it's called the Q Apartments, or it was called the Q Apartments now. Do you know where the Totem Pole Park is downtown on Douglas?
Yeah.
It was across the street from that.
Oh.
Okay.
So I grew up in kind of a hotel restaurant, 365 days. You work every single day, 14, 16 hours a day, and have done so since I was like 10.
Yeah,
Crazy.
that's an old name, Samuel's.
Samuel's restaurant. And it
goes
was
way
one of
back.
those old, like chicken cordon bleu, like
Yeah.
breakfast, lunch, dinner. And that's why when I actually talk about my voice and older women, it was always coming from like literally like 70 to 80-year-old women. That was like a primary demographic there. But yeah, no, we were. So I know how you feel because that was swallowed up by a developer, and it was weird because I grew up in it. Right, we'd had the restaurant. I think at that point it was probably like 30 years, you know, and all of
Yeah.
a sudden, you know, you're out.
It wasn't there.
It was gone.
Yeah.
You know, it was everything. It was my, not only it was my identity. My dad's name was literally on the door, Samuel's.
Yeah.
And it was gone. And at the time, McKenna, my oldest daughter, was 1 year old. So
Wow.
here I was, no job, you know, no restaurant, thought that was going to be around forever. You never think of a family business. You never think of things ending
Right.
when you're in the middle of them, right? But anyways, I was living in Oak Bay at the time, and I was walking my dog, pretty lost, you know, to be honest. And I walked by the Village at the time, and I said to myself, I was like, you know, now that I have a kid, like maybe I should just open like something like that, like what Roz is doing at Blue Fox, right? For me, coming from a breakfast, lunch, dinner place, it should be fairly like viable and easy to do. Went home, Googled businesses for sale, the Village popped up.
No way.
I swear.
Wow.
I like honestly seems like it's not real,
It's
you know?
Right.
It's
But
meant to be, maybe.
But
Meant to
I
be,
think we
yeah.
all believe in timing and fate, and I
Yeah,
think that's why what Marianne, what you're going through right now, it's your attitude is like it's all just the path of where Roast is headed next,
Yeah.
you know. And I totally agree with that. And things aren't really like there's no beginning and end. It's just the another chapter kind of turns, right? And that's how I look at businesses. They're for the most part they're fluid. So yeah, Village came up, it popped up for sale. We met the realtor down there half an hour later. Like that was it. We like bought the restaurant.
Wow.
That's incredible.
And yeah, it was weird. Like, and when we bought it, like obviously I looked at their books, and at the time they were running a lot of like costs. And I was like, oh, I could really sharpen my pencil. And I was coming from kind of hotel restaurant dynamics, so it was more a money machine, you know, than what the boys at the Village were doing.
Right.
And then when we took over the Village, I was like, oh man, these guys are paying for garbage twice. They compost and they throw their garbage out. I was like, these guys are crazy. What are they doing? You know, my business partner, Barry, first thing he's like, oh man, we got an opportunity on, they're making their hollandaise every day. We just bring the stuff in bags. Like we were coming from,
Right.
like our food was good, but it was a very like Cisco factory style system that was meant to serve 300 people in one morning, and you're doing like 1,000 covers a day. We now at the busiest, we're doing like 300 a day, right? So, but once we got to know Jesse and Daniel and realized everything they were doing was from scratch, and everything they were doing, they didn't have a deep fryer, they didn't have a lot of cheats, like they were grinding all their own spices. We were like, maybe this is good. And now full circle 20 years later,
Right.
like that's all I care about, you
Yeah,
know?
I
So
mean-
anyway, so that's the story of the Village. And yeah, it just, everything that's happened with it has been relatively organic, you
Right.
know, like it's just kind of people have come into our life. Like the main kind of CEO that runs it now, Brian, he showed up part-time, wanted to just pick up some serving shifts because at the time he was only working 3 nights at Prime Steakhouse.
Okay.
Another blast from the past.
Yeah,
Shout
that's
out to
crazy.
Billy, but from Prime. But he just kind of showed up, and then he's like, "Oh, maybe I do like waking up early in the morning." And he's like, "Hey, have you thought of opening a second one?" And I'm like, "No, not really."
Right.
Brian then, borrowed some money from his parents, and like 5 restaurants later, it's all like Brian helping,
Wow, that's
expand.
amazing.
And that's and when you guys asked me earlier, like, how am I able to have free time? It's because like I took in kind of like a 10-year younger partner early. And so when I had McKenna and kids, he was always been super supportive of my family life and able to kind of play the role of like the young partner that doesn't have the commitments that I did.
And was that your first partner?
That was my first. My first partner actually was my uncle.
Oh, okay.
He was my second partner. He was the one that kind of and Barry now kind of his schedule is a little more relaxed. He's more behind the scenes and does a lot of the maintenance and picking up all the different products that we bring. But and then now there's in my mind I'd say there's probably like 10 partners, right?
Wow.
Now not equity partners, but I'd say there's like 4 or 5 equity partners, but there's enough core people around where I often say to them, I'm like, I don't really look at you as employees anymore. They're all partners because they control their own schedule. Like all the ownership stuff is in place for them.
Right.
That's great.
Do you know what I mean by
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
And that's why a lot of our core team has often said, oh, when's our chance coming? And I'm like, well, you could give me $100,000 and I give you X amount of percentage, or you could buy a house and know that if you just stay with the company, like life's pretty good for you. Like the reason we take all this risk, right, guys, to open our own business or, is to have control.
I thought
Right.
it was because we were masochistic.
And I think that's part. Well, we were getting smarter now, right? Like the conversation I just had with Marianne, I think we're getting smarter. I think we're realizing that, we have to be careful with what we lay out to do these things, because you see how successful a business can actually be when they're busy and they're full, and that same space 5 years can be. You can't even give it away.
Well, I like what you were talking about before, as like a company dies and a business can die. A business is not forever necessarily. And as entrepreneurs and business owners, it's not the first thing that we think about when we're opening a business. We're not thinking about when it's going to die or when we're going to close it. But I would suggest that anyone coming into the restaurant business should have a really clear exit strategy as well.
Totally.
And, have a great plan to build your business, but also have a really good plan to close your business.
Totally.
And be prepared for the doomsday when your business does die. I'm not prepared for that at all. I'm just speaking out of turn.
But
that's
that's really smart way of thinking.
It's well, we actually didn't, to be honest, up until COVID, we were pretty fly by the seat of our pants. Like we opened 2 restaurants at the same time because times were they were really good.
Yeah.
Like that first 10 years of the Village, like I don't think I could have opened that many restaurants. I don't think I'll ever be able to do that again. One, probably because I'm older and wiser now, but it was just like the times were like, they were good. Real estate was going quick and markets were good and everything seemed great at the time. And they were easy. They were easy times.
Yeah.
And, when COVID hit, I mean, times got harder. Right. Where
it's crazy to think like the changes that we've all gone through. I mean, I opened 3 restaurants, 1 in San Diego and 2 here in 6 months. Like how insane. Do you think I'd ever do that again?
It's crazy.
I would never do that again.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just you. It wasn't just me.
Yeah.
It was you. It was Big Wheel. It was
Yeah.
everybody, right? And I think it was just this you do get caught up in this wave of momentum but we know and we should know that it goes like this, right? And then we have to kind of be a little more steady, but it's hard too. And also like there's the ego of it. Hey, Marianne, you know what you should do? That's how we ended up in Cook Street. Oh, it'll be great. It'll kill it. The Village in Cook Street Village. Oh man, what a fit. And it was an awful fit. It was terrible. It was like, we didn't know that, but we again, it's often you do get a bit carried away, and you do get the flattery stuff does work.
It does.
And landlords want to and I know better now. Landlords are like, when they want to sign that lease, oh, you're the best. Like, like even Chinatown. Oh, this is going to be the brewery district. We're going to, Swans is going to be like a modern day, like Portland kind of, well, look at Portland's gone, but and then all this stuff. Right.
Yeah.
And, the moment you sign the lease, ask for help like 4 years later, and they're like, well, actually, do you want to renew? Because if not, we have no TI budget. And you're like, oh, okay, well, you guys know what I'm talking about,
absolutely.
right? So I definitely now am a little more like guarded with what the next steps are going to be.
So sorry to interject, but pre-COVID, you're saying you had lots of growth. We all kind of felt the boom that was.
Yes.
For my business, as soon as COVID hit, I lost the team that I had built, my organizational structural team that got me to where I was. I lost them all. And I had to start from scratch, which is really difficult. It sounds like maybe because of how you grew and how you had partners in your new restaurants, maybe asking questions. Were you able to maintain your leadership group, and is that part of your success through COVID?
Yeah, to be honest, funnily enough, like that's what we focused on in COVID. Yeah. So, I'd say the first 3 months when we shut down, it was scrambling. It was just like we had made a bunch of deals with farmers, egg farmers, so on and so forth, that like we had people to feed. That was the bottom line, like both in the community, like we did that grocery delivery thing.
Right. Are you still doing that?
We are, like, we're doing some Village X stuff now. It's remnants of it, but we were full on, right?
Yeah,
because at the time we had a bunch of people that we still wanted to pay, but we actually did use that opportunity, and we used wage subsidies to hire a fairly robust team that would help us like reorganize and reshuffle and rejig. So, I think there was a period there, I'd say, like after like the initial lockdown, where like things were getting like we were crazy busy. Yeah. And I think there are a lot of companies focused on making short-term money and just putting on as many people as possible. We actually focused more on like, okay, well, like this isn't forever. What's the next step for us?
Right.
What's the best way we can make this sustainable for a long time? And I'd never really, and like I said, I got off topic, but when you're in that expansion mode and landlords are rolling out the red carpet, you don't really think about the end, And when I locked that door that day, I remember my original business partner, Barry, looked at me. He's like, holy smokes, man. He's like, this is like a Friends episode. He's like, is that it? Do you know what I mean? Like, and we all said that, right? You did that. We all had that moment where we turned the key and we were like, is that it for restaurants?
Right.
Is this like deadly virus in the, we all know better now. But in the time, it kind of woke me up not to like, oh, I'm so lucky to be operating again. Let's like go make more money. It kind of made me think about, okay, well, what next? Like what happens if this thing ends? And so I think since that day, we've definitely, we were very fortunate. We met a great a lady. Her name was Adele, and so she came on to help us run HR, because at the time, you guys remember, like HR was a mess. Like Dr. Bonnie, like she was for as much of a hero as she was all over the place, and I think everyone was, because of the policies, and so our policies were changing weekly as to like what the mask mandates were, how you're able to operate, who you're able to hire, keeping up just with what's covered under wage subsidy. Like, what are the rules of the subsidy? What's the percentage? How many hours? Like,
I was flailing.
It was overwhelming.
It was so overwhelming.
And that's really where our collective came from.
Yeah,
was
you came to the first meeting.
Yes.
Trying to help navigate all those weekly policy changes that seem to be arbitrary at best.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I remember that first meeting, and I remember all of the work. Like I said, at the time, we were just trying to scramble. So like when Bread and Butter came out, and I remember doing that meeting, I was like, well, we're already like far gone, kind of working on this stuff internally. Plus, I just didn't have the energy and the effort to like share it collectively, because I still didn't really know. Plus, I didn't know whether it was going to work what we were doing. And even like our relationship with Adele, what started as HR, she got more into like a coaching role. So instead of her now like becoming the centralized HR person that was like creating all of this policy, she was empowering all of like, which all those people are still in our company now. And I would say they have a much more clear balance and vision of who they are and what they want to do, which is why I'm able to have more time, is because, like I wouldn't trade that time, you know, for anything. They were really hard, but now we talk about exit all the time, not because we want the village to end, but I think it's important to kind of look at everything. Like if things were to end tomorrow, like that's what I would say to a small business owner. What do you have? What's it worth?
Right.
Yeah.
You know, because at the end of the day, for us as restaurants, you know, they're worthless if they're not doing sales. It doesn't matter what you spend on that coffee machine, right, Sam? Like if it's not
really
selling
doesn't.
100 X amount of lattes a day, there's no value and no one wants to buy it.
Yeah.
Like I was just at the beach house, like the beach house that closed.
Yeah.
Man, you could have like put a kitchen together for like 10 grand.
Yeah. They had a lot of stuff in there.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Brand new, you know, all just sitting there.
I know.
Like no one buying it. It's
No.
crazy.
Yeah.
chairs
That are, you know, $200-$300 a piece, you know, they were selling for $20.
Have they still got some? Because I need
Well,
chairs.
that was the thing. The thing is well, I thought I was a shoe-in, so I didn't even go because they had so many. But sure enough, the chairs sold.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I'm
I
sure they
was
did.
kicking myself this morning as I was looking for more chairs. But yeah, so it's really important to understand that, like, and I think the other thing for small business owners is the value we bring, like the value you bring, the value you actually bring to a landlord, to that space is really, really high.
Right.
The space is nothing.
It's more value than the landlords are offering us.
It's not even close.
100%.
It's not even close. Right now, I shouldn't say that about all landlords, right? You know, we are very fortunate that in our collective we also have excellent. You know, we have excellent landlords. You know, my landlord in Oak Bay continues to work with me very well. Hans Braun is our landlord at Torquay. They're unbelievable. Like, I think if you want to talk about like the benchmark of like how to operate as a landlord, you look to them. But they're also financially like in a position to do so, right? Like I also understand a lot of landlords are developers and they're leveraged. So I think as small business owners, we do have to understand like the background of who you're renting from.
Yeah.
Is the person leveraged? Is that money going to pay a mortgage, or does that person have cash? Can they weather that storm with you when you might need some help? You know?
Yeah, that's the number one for me.
To be
our
careful.
Next move is
Yes.
to be, I'm very careful right now.
Yes.
I'm not going to make any big changes, big moves. But number one is landlord.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've been talking to the Jaws for over 5 years.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out the right space for
Yeah.
roast.
Yeah.
And I know it'll happen. It'll happen, but it'll only happen with the right partnership.
Yes.
I've got an idea for you with the Jaws. I'll talk to you about it later. I know this is really good idea.
Spit this
Remind
one
me.
out publicly.
Okay, well.
Yeah. Again, example, good landlord.
Yeah.
Right. You know that their reputation precedes them. Right. So it's like, again, it's one of those things where it's just, it's easy to dream sometimes, but it's really important as small business owners to like kind of, you know, keep your eyes on the things that are not as sexy.
Yes.
But they're really, really important. And if you don't, even in great deals, if the timing isn't right, it will be very, very challenging to, you know, to recoup your money and cost. I mean, I'm actually still surprised at how many new restaurants are paddling out now. Like, mind-numbing.
I know there's so many new ones, but I mean, we're losing so many of them.
We are.
It's almost like as those ones leave, they're creating this suction that sucks new
We
people
are.
into the industry, which can be really positive. I mean, we need new blood in the industry. We need new ideas and new ways of doing things.
Yeah.
It sounds like you've been on the cusp of new ways of doing things for a while now.
Yeah. Tell us about how Ghost Ramen came around.
Okay, wow, yeah, Ghost Ramen was it was born out of the Circuit Breaker. Do you guys remember the Circuit Breaker?
Circuit breaker.
The Dr. Bonnie's Circuit Breaker.
Oh.
Do you guys remember that?
Oh.
when it was like
Okay.
all over.
Yeah.
And then she shut us down again
Yeah.
for like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. I think it was what was the saying back then?
Oh,
Curb the line, or what was it again?
Yeah, flatten the curve.
Flatten the curve.
Oh my
right?
God,
It was,
just-
and that was
Don't
just,
bring back horrible memories.
know.
That was awful.
that was just more like, it was kind of like, okay, we've got it all figured out. Everything's back to normal.
Yeah.
And then our team just at Chinatown specifically, like, we were young to begin with, right? We were new. We weren't solid,
Yeah.
right? And then downtown, it was a bigger space. It was a bigger rent. It was bigger overhead. We were just figuring everything out. And then it just kept yo-yoing, open, close, open, close. And downtown, I'd say, suffered the most. That's, so it was, when that happened, our chef, like half our team was like, we can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that we don't believe in you guys. We can't do this anymore. And then at the time, we'd had done a few pop-ups with Greg, who's our ramen partner. So Nikkei Ramen up in Courtney, he's our partner.
Oh.
Do you know?
I had no idea.
Okay.
Okay.
So
And he does the living wage, no tip deal?
yeah, that's right.
Oh my
so,
God, I had
okay.
no idea.
So ramen, full passion project for me. It's I travel the world. First thing I look for is ramen. I've done so for a long time.
Oh, Sam,
And-
you should see his Instagram stories.
It's all I care about is eating and slurping noodles, right? And so I've passed that on to my oldest daughter and my youngest daughter, and like that's something we bond on. We were up in Mount Washington. I'd heard that someone on the island is finally making their own noodles, making their own broth from scratch. Because really, I'm not, at the end of the day, most of the noodles and the ramen you see, it's either from package and it's coming off of Wismatek or Yamachan. It's not handmade, right? Even in Vancouver, for the most part, these noodles aren't. So for someone to be doing that on the island, I was like, oh, this is exciting. We got rained out at Mount Washington.
Okay.
Went to Nikkei Ramen. As soon as my daughter first slurped, she's like, that's it.
Amazing.
This is the one, Dad, we've been looking for. And
Yeah.
sure enough, I got in touch with Greg. He's another victim of COVID. Greg, my ramen partner, he had built like a state-of-the-art centralized production facility.
Wow.
And he was going to scale Nikkei up in Courtney to 3, 4, 5 locations. Like, he had leases signed, and then boom, COVID hit.
No.
In Courtney.
In Courtney.
Wow.
How much ramen can Courtney eat?
Well, I think when you talk about Courtney, you're talking about Comox Valley, you're talking about Campbell River, you're talking about Nanaimo. Like, once you move up island, like north of Nanaimo, like right from Parksville to Qualicum, that community completely, like, they cross-pollinate, right,
Fair.
each
Got
other,
it.
right? So Cumberland, right?
Yeah, that's right
And
there.
also a ramen shop, like, his concept was pretty, like, he only needs like 500 square feet, because if you look at most ramen shops, they're really small.
Yeah.
Long story short, we kind of, I think we charmed him a little bit. And I think the idea of being in Victoria was something he never really considered, but he likes the idea of being in Victoria because he's got young children. And one day they might outgrow wanting to be in Courtney. So if he's got interest in Victoria, that long-term for him was attractive. Anyways, long story short, we didn't have the team we could to run the village.
Right.
Because you got to prep all your own stuff, but we did have the team that we needed to basically ship Greg's ramen down and plate it. So, and we're still doing that to this day. I mean, we're more extensive now in terms of the preps that we can do in-house with Greg's help, but broth, noodles, tares are still being produced in his facility up in
Sorry,
Courtney.
what's a tare?
A tare is basically the flavoring agent of a bowl of ramen.
Okay, so it's not Atari like
No,
jump,
not
move
Atari.
forward.
Sorry, my apologies.
Okay.
So it's basically, in lack of it, it's like the salt portion of the bowl.
Oh.
So when you talk about a bowl of ramen, there's like several components that all have to be cooked for it to come together. So you have your animal stock, your broth, and then you flavor it. So each bowl is built like a drink.
Very cool.
So unlike, I'd say, kind of pho or wonton noodle soup, right? It's like you put all your noodles, whatever, here's your stock, boom, there you go. If you look at a bowl of ramen, like you put your salt down, then you layer and you build it like you would a cocktail.
Okay.
It's like a masterpiece.
So I'd say that's why for me, I think ramen's been more of an obsession because one, I love all forms of ramen, right? It's like people that love burgers, right?
Yeah.
You love the McDonald's cheeseburger and then you love the big wheel burger.
Yeah.
You love them all, right?
Yeah.
It's just what's the circumstance in which you're eating it. And so for me, ramen, it's I think we all that's probably all like what we all first cooked in the kitchen, right?
Yeah.
And then even your daughter now as she grows, like, what'd you have for dinner tonight? If she's alone, it's probably, hey, I had some ramen, right?
Yeah.
But as you unpack it, it's like the cookery of the noodles to like the blending of the tares. What are you importing? What kind of salt are you using? Where did the pork bones come from? What kind of machine are you using to actually like cook the pork bone down? And what are you using? So there's just like coffee, there's levels to it. There's gas station coffee. And then there's Sam's, there's different levels of coffee. Like, how are you roasting it? Does it still have that little cherry? You know what I mean? Like, it's just like every note that you're doing, like, it's like 2% jazz is like, so I like to think that, from a Victoria standpoint, we fit more into like that artisan cold comfort ice cream kind of category, roast sandwiches versus like, that Chevron cup of coffee.
Right.
So I love them all.
Yeah.
I
wish I could eat it. I'm a celiac. Like, it's like no fun anymore.
It's
Is there a good gluten-free alternative for
we
for
have
ramen?
we have gluten-free noodles there.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Are they
They're good.
made of rice
They're
noodles?
straight up.
or
They're
are they
they're
just
they're,
rice
they're
noodles,
rice ramen noodles from Costco. Straight up. I'm not
All
even
right.
gonna
Okay.
not even gonna and
But then
they're-
you get all the
they're
other
great.
elements with
They're
it.
the other elements. Are you celiac?
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah.
So we could avoid definitely some of the soy products, but we can definitely do a bowl for you.
Okay.
It's not it's we do it all the time.
Okay, now I'm getting really excited and
Yeah.
hungry.
Yeah.
Now,
absolutely.
ordinary non-gluten-free noodles for ramen are alkaline, right?
Yes.
Is that the difference?
What do you mean? Sorry.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what I mean. I know that they're different than ordinary noodles, and I thought that part of it was their pH was different. They're an alkaline base.
It's definitely
noodle?
there's definitely like as far as the noodle goes, it's the alkaline. It's in the flour. Greg's
Okay.
probably more the right person to talk to. I don't even want to pretend to do his job.
Fair
but,
enough.
It's also the water, depending on like the water. Have you heard of hard water and soft
Yeah.
water?
Yeah.
So it just also depends on the water. I don't actually know what his process is.
Wow.
I know as an example, when I toured the Sun Noodle factory in Hawaii, they actually had like a reverse osmosis machine to like control the water that they were using to like make the noodle.
Right, so they strip everything out.
Yeah, exactly. And then they put in
want.
exactly what they want to make the noodle, so it's got like the right texture.
This is like mad scientist stuff.
Well, that's funny. Like you go up to Nikkei Ramen,
Yeah.
like these guys aren't like, it's not just like a bunch of pork bones in a pot. Like it's like everything is measured. If you go into his facility, it's a lab. Like I don't even call it a kitchen. Like it's super clean. Like the pressure cooker he has, when he puts chickens in to make our paitan stock, chickens don't come out. Like they're just emulsified as a part of the stock. So when the stock actually like sits in the fridge, it's Jello.
Yeah.
It's not runny. So again, it's like, it's one of those things for me, like I can tell just like the way, the soup drips off the spoon, whether or not you made it out of a package, which there are restaurants, a lot of restaurants in town are doing that. Or if you actually made it from animal bone, or did you just put a bit of animal bone and then add the packaging? Again, it's price point driven, right? I think you have to look at it, right? It's like, yeah, you can buy $1 cup of coffee or you can buy a $6 cappuccino. It's like, it's up to you what you want, but like understand in our business, especially food, real good food and coffee, right? There is a price
Absolutely.
attached to it, right?
Yeah.
So understand what you're buying, I think, is what I would tell the consumer often. Like they might get sucked into something, like they don't realize what they're actually consuming sometimes. Maybe. Yeah.
For coffee, I mean, I'm biased.
Yeah.
I have a creative outlet where I can make coffee the way I want it.
Yeah.
Much like you can create a bowl
Yeah.
the way you want it.
Yeah.
But if I'm going elsewhere, if I want to buy other coffee, I go to Stumptown Coffee.
Okay.
That's kind of my go-to
Okay.
commercial favorite. Have you got a commercial favorite for a pack of noodles?
Oh.
Oh, are you talking about? Yeah.
yeah.
I'm partial to what's that Korean one?
Nippon?
Are we talking about like instant ramen?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, geez, I don't know why it's escaping me right now. Well, I have two. My kids call them baby noodles. I know in Chinese it's called tating yating, but it's like Nissan is the brand,
Right.
But you see like the little guy, you know, I don't even know.
Is it like a character?
Yeah, he's like a little character,
Sort of,
and then it's basically just like a beef kind of package, and then it's like a sesame oil. That's the one we eat the most at home.
Okay.
But I also have gone into kind of there's more that Korean one. Like I find you can actually buy those ones anywhere, but Fairways usually has like the best. But I forget the name.
Is it kind of black and red?
That's right.
And
that's right.
spicy?
That's right. That's
Okay.
right.
So you know
That's the
exactly
one.
what he's
That's my favorite.
That's the one. I think,
Okay.
and well, because those noodles are like really nice and thick.
Yeah,
right?
they are, and you get the right heat from it.
You do,
It's
you do.
super hot, but it doesn't
So
last.
again, it's like that's the thing. It's like dried versus fresh. So La Pasta versus Romeo.
Spaghetti Factory.
Well, yes, Spaghetti Factory. Well, I would even say Romeo's.
Yeah,
Like they're
fair.
using dried pasta,
Yeah.
right? Not that there's anything wrong with dried
No.
pasta, but it's very different, right? Like fresh pasta, dried pasta, and even noodles, right? Like fresh noodles are different than frozen noodles, right? Handmade noodles are different than factory made noodles, right? So
Absolutely.
yeah. So yeah.
I want a bowl.
We should.
It's getting closer to lunchtime.
We should do it. We should do it. I'll happily host you guys.
And we chatted about maybe doing like a pop-up where
Yes.
roast and
Yes.
ghost ramen maybe come together
Yes.
and do like a fun night or
For
something.
sure. For sure. For
So
sure.
I think of like thinly sliced pieces
sure.
of porchetta on a bowl.
It'd be
of
perfect.
ramen. Like it'd be so cool.
It'd be really,
fun.
really good. It'd be really fun, and it would be awesome. It would be a really good fit.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So there's lots
yeah.
of collabs, partnerships out there. You just got to go look for them and create some fun
Totally.
memories and content. And
Think
Totally.
outside the box.
yeah, and
Totally.
you got to keep reminding people we're here, right?
Yes.
People get into their own little funks and their own little ways, and they forget what's downtown. They forget what's in Royal Oak. They forget outside of their normal little circle. I live
Yeah.
in Sydney, so I'm constantly just traveling around.
Right.
But we need to remind people we're here, and that we
Is
also
there
need
maybe
support.
a roast coming out to Sydney?
Sydney goes to sleep pretty early.
They do.
I mean, we do close
They
at
do.
6 p.m., but it's just there's just not enough foot traffic out
they
there.
do. They do.
Yeah,
They do.
yeah.
Which is too bad.
It is.
It's
it would
really
be
cute. It's
it would
really
be
nice out
good.
there.
Even a lady wrote us a review last week and asked us to come to Sydney. It's cute. Like you said earlier, people are always trying to flatter you. Hey, do this, do that. I mean, Langford's been calling our name for a long time, but
Yeah.
it's just about making those right choices and the right moves.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't listen. I stopped listening to developers and potential landlords
Yeah.
years ago
Yeah.
because they do, like you're saying, they just feed you what they think you want to hear,
Right.
and they rope you in and don't really offer you anything good.
And
I'm
I don't,
lucky
and
I've
I
got
don't
good
blame them.
landlords,
Like
yeah.
Right.
that's the other thing, right? There's no hate there, right?
Well,
They're doing their
I
they're
blame
doing
them
their
when they
job.
go, when
They're
they
doing
go
their
south.
job.
I blame them for sure.
Oh, it's
I do think it's like it can be a little short-sighted, right? And they could be more discerning and really look into the actual buyer as well, as to who they place into these things and do maybe some of their own demos, because long term, like landlords, like they don't want turnover either.
no, that's true.
But then sometimes I see these like arguments over rent, and they let really viable tenants walk over, like, reduce the rent, pay for this one thing,
Yeah.
make, help them out through a tough time. Like it's just a matter of, but I guess maybe it's just kind of, you have to kind of look at, who they have and waiting in the wings or whatever. But
Right.
sometimes it's like, the Victoria market's the one where, like, for me, it is really sad because I just like when I travel Europe specifically and I go to these markets, like I go to the initial concept of what it was supposed to be. Why can we not support that in the city? We seem to want it.
Right.
People are into it. Why can't something like that exist here? And I, it's interesting. Like even Chinatown now, like part of why we opened Chinatown Village was because I grew up in Chinatown. Like I
Right.
remember going there, and like the Chinese community used to actually go to Chinatown. My grandma used to live half a block from Chinatown. She went there and shopped every single day.
My grandma did too.
Did she? Okay. Well, like, and
Yeah.
now Chinese community, like we don't really go to Chinatown. Like Chinatown's really become kind of more like a tourist destination than community. And I actually don't know what has happened there, but it makes me sad to think, like, my parents, when they go shopping, they don't know their chicken guy. They don't know the egg guy. They don't know the cheese guy. They're not going to like get their porchetta sandwich from Marianne and then their coffee. You know what I mean? Like they don't get that like personal connection in their grocery shopping. Right. They go to typically some American corporation where all their stuff's just packaged in styrofoam. No one talks to them. Right. They self-check out and then they drive their car back home. Right. It's just so different than when I observe like a person, like a retired person, like in like a market in Barcelona where like she takes 4 hours to shop every single day because she has a one store to the next,
it's
right?
part of the lifestyle and it's part of their socialization.
Totally.
And maybe why we can't do it in Victoria is there's not the history of doing it in Victoria. If you go to Europe, those markets are old and they're very established. And to build that here would take land. It would take a lot of capital and a lot of time to invest in building something like that. That's possibly why the public market didn't work so well at the beginning because there wasn't enough space, enough capital investment, or enough time devoted to building that market up. And maybe that's why European markets are so successful.
Do you think they're going to get something like that going maybe at the Roundhouse?
Wow, that was so long ago that they had that idea, but I don't know where that ended up.
It's a very romantic idea. And when you see it in action, you're like, I know. Oh, this makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Right?
I think the Roundhouse isn't the great... Maybe it is a good location for a public market, but that would be more like a Granville Island public market. Like you'd have to have those little tiny ferries taking you there. Yeah. And it would be touristy. But Victoria needs like something that Victorians can go to maybe.
Yeah. I agree.
I have a question.
Yeah.
When you're entering Chinatown, on the right-hand side, there's the business with the ducks hanging in the window.
Oh.
Is that business not for sale?
I think it was up for sale. Okay. I want to think I think it traded already.
Best honey buns ever.
Are you talking about the butcher shop, or are you talking about the... Which one are you talking about?
With the ducks in the window that are hanging.
Well, Wale Yun
that's
has ducks in the window, and they have the best honey buns.
They do.
Alex is like he's like I think he's a second or third generation baker.
Oh, really?
And he's there every morning. It's funny when you look at Alex though, like he's a really slick, like handsome, like Chinese dude. You wouldn't imagine him like this guy that gets up every morning at 3 o'clock to bake buns. He just looks like a baker to me. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But yeah, Alex and May, Wale Yun's been, again, that's one of like the last remaining Chinese haunts that I remember going to eating as a kid. Yeah, that's right. And then next to that is like, I want to say it's like one of the oldest butcher shops in like all of Canada.
Wow.
Like that butcher shop, Loy Singun, has been left over from like the head tax days, like the days where like Chinese only stuck within the 4 blocks. Because I don't know if you know that Chinatown used to be about 4 blocks, right? Like it wasn't just Fizgard. It was Up Government, Pandora. That was all Chinatown. And you didn't really go far out of Chinatown, unless you were either escorted and, wanted to get, Right. So they're like, and that wasn't that long ago.
Right.
But Loy Singun is probably one of the last remaining ones. Wale Yun, Larry from Ocean Garden, Don Mees.
Yeah.
Those 4 in a row.
Yeah.
I think, I hope I'm not missing anyone in that, but I think that's about it.
Yeah.
Like when you talk about how big Chinatown used to be, I'm talking like the OGs of like who's actually remaining. And even like Don Mees has traded like a few times. I think Wale Yun is not the original owner, but every restaurant you see there used to be like a Chinese owned and operated restaurant. And not at all anymore.
So much.
Do you think, have you heard or do you have any predictions what's going to take over for Kwan Lee's on the corner?
I have not. No
inside.
Oh, the corner location there?
No.
That used to be the grocery store?
Yeah.
So I went in there and I took Kaylin because I think it's an amazing space.
Yeah.
And I was just super curious.
For you?
No, it's too big for me.
It's huge.
But I was just like, I want to see inside this space.
Yeah,
I want to see
yeah.
like the guts of this space.
Yeah.
It would be an amazing restaurant or like late night. There's so much history to that.
Is there a basement?
There's a basement. There's like there's a trolley that goes up into the alleyway. There's a back alleyway. There's a back patio. There's like so much history. It's super cool.
I'd say the cool thing about Chinatown, one thing it has going for it is that have you guys ever heard of Robert Fung, Salient Group?
Oh yeah,
He was pretty instrumental in like developing Gastown.
Mm-hmm.
He's pretty bullish on Chinatown. I think one because he's from Chinese descent. He really cares about the history of it. But secondly, I think he owns some dirt in there, right?
Yeah.
So there's a bit of both, right? But he's actually done a lot of good work. Like he brought like that Chinatown kind of museum that's in there.
Mm-hmm.
There is a lot of history there. It is one. I think it is the second oldest Chinatown, right?
Yeah,
in North America. I think San Francisco is the original.
Is that the first one?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I thought Victoria was maybe the oldest.
Maybe
in
Victoria
Canada.
was first.
For Canada,
sure.
Yeah,
for
for Canada,
sure.
for sure. Right?
Canada for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, Chinatown's one of those, it's an interesting place. Like I wish it was more than it was. And I wish we, I hope it remains and all the businesses that are there do well, but it's been tricky. I mean, we almost lost the brasserie.
Right.
Yeah, it certainly is changing.
Yeah.
Like who's going in is changing, and the
Yeah.
flavor
Yeah.
of the businesses.
Yeah.
Not to say anything about
Not
any
that
of
it's
the
bad.
businesses.
No,
It's not bad, but
this
it certainly
happens.
is a change.
It is.
And
It
it
is.
doesn't feel as much of a Chinatown until you
That's
might go down Van Tan Alley or
That's
you
right.
stop under the
That's right.
arches.
Yeah,
That's
I
right.
just don't.
Which my father-in-law painted for years. He was
No
the
way.
only one allowed to
Oh.
paint those because he
No
was so
way.
good.
No
Yeah,
way.
Oh,
Interesting.
that's cool.
That's
Rock on,
interesting.
Phil.
That's interesting.
I just
Yeah.
don't want the history to be lost. Right? There's so much history.
No, and I think they're doing a good job of
Yeah.
preserving that, right?
Yeah,
For
I
the
think
most part.
Charlene Thornton's taking
Yeah,
the-
she's doing a pretty good
good lead
job,
on
and then
that,
they've
right?
also they've plaqued like what this building used to be. I mean, they're doing more than they're doing what they can for
Yeah,
sure,
yeah.
right? I think the history will be there. I do sometimes wish, but that's the thing, like. Chinese food is not being sold by Chinese. Sushi's not being sold by Japanese. It's like Asians. Like it's almost like we don't like doing our own food. I mean, I'm serving Jewish breakfast. I mean, like, what are we doing?
serving latkes.
Yeah, exactly. Right? Well, maybe that's the beauty of Canada for you,
Right.
Right? Is that we're not stuck in our own culture.
Are we the mosaic or are we the melting pot? I think we're the melting pot, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think we
okay.
are. I think we are.
Yeah. I think America is the mosaic.
Yeah.
Are they cultural mosaic?
I don't know what America is right now.
Yeah, dumpster fire.
That's a whole nother thing right there. for
Totally.
sure. Yeah.
But moving forward in your businesses,
Yeah.
I mean, have you got plans for more expansion? Are you open to franchising? Like, it feels like your business is kind of perfect for that, but I don't know if that fits your ethos.
I
or
think
not.
personally now, that you guys inviting me here, I think what Bread and Butter is doing or have been doing, I'm more interested in kind of the future now for the next generation. I don't really know for myself, like I kind of have what I need, and I think the economy in the next 5-10 years is going to be dangerous if you kind of operate on wants and just wanting more.
Right.
One of our biggest core values that we talk about all the time in all of our meetings at the Village is doing more with less. And we learned that in when we lost Cook Street.
Yeah.
I think expansion is always fun, but I think for me now it would be ego driven. Like I'm not opening restaurants to feed my family. And even for me, I kind of the incentive to work has to be for like a bigger cause now than just more money, I guess, for me to actually want to do it and give up my time. That's another thing that I guard I guard that very preciously, especially like my daughter, my oldest is 13, my other is 11. Like and yours went off on spring break on her own already. I'm like, I want to kind of like maximize my time with my family, and then obviously I feel like I haven't seen my wife in 14 years because we've been busy running with the kids and then building businesses. Like, I'd like to kind of, get to know her again a little bit more. So I just I think the short answer is no. I'm not really actively looking for opportunity, but then I'm always looking for more opportunity. I think that's an entrepreneurial in spirit in all of us. I think I've learned a lot of lessons. I think being able to say no is the biggest lesson. I think we're all probably in that boat. And I just think maybe I would want to be more involved. It depends on who within our company wants to do more. That would probably, just like when Brian first approached me, I had no thought of opening a second village.
Right.
So if organically those opportunities come, if organically we have an opportunity to start like collaborating as a group, that's the other thing about ownership is like our industry is we all do things apart. When I think we could probably work together a lot better. As an example, like just thinking about Marianne, like if she dealt with lunch and sandwiches and I dealt with breakfast, but we like shared the same space, like that would actually be a better move for us. So like it's like less pressure and we would have natural partnership without having to give up equity. Just as an example, I'd be interested in projects like that. More so than me building 1,000 villages and turning it into a corporation and whatnot. I think maybe that was the dream at one point, but I guess we weren't successful at it and I'm glad it didn't go that way. You know, I'm glad each one has its own characteristics. It has different demographic. It has different needs. And so I don't have any plans of that. I mean, the other thing is I'm just trying to hang on to what I got right now. I think,
hanging on tight.
Checking that ego, it's, hang on tight right now. I think, but it's funny. Like I was saying to my wife, she's like, I enjoy turbulence just as much as I enjoy like a smooth sail.
It's interesting. My husband, this morning, I was getting ready to go. I have a bit of a cold. I've been kind of under the weather the last couple of days. And I was getting ready and he's like, what's going on today? I was like, oh, I got the podcast. I got this. I got that. He's like, you're just a warrior.
Yeah.
Like, I can't, like, I'm just so amazed. You can just get up and just keep going. And I was like, I have no other choice. But that's just also my personality. It's like, all right, you give me a challenge.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
I'm going to get through it. I'm going to figure something out. And what I think is so unique about our community, especially, is there are people in our community that are going to help us if we ask for it.
Right. Agreed.
And you have to be able to be beyond your ego and ask for help when you need it.
Yeah.
And so I fully believe that what other challenges are in my future, I'm just going to plow through.
Yeah.
Roast isn't going to die. It's just going to change the way it looks or how we're operating.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think it's going to be better. Right. And I think you've entered that non-negotiable part of your business where you have to do what you have to do. There's no there's no other choice. I think that's why people are always like, oh, you have all these responsibilities, but there's a freedom in it. I have no choice. Like I don't get to choose whether or not I show up for my boss or not. Like I have to do it. Right. There's no plan B. Right. So it does actually, there's a freedom in that.
There is.
In the commitment.
It's a weird kind of lockdown freedom.
It is
because
you know what I mean? Like there's every day what you're doing. Like there's no you don't get to choose.
No.
Right. It is what it is.
And after a certain amount of time, it's not like work, it's just that's life. And I think at that point, maybe it's too much.
Well, it's funny. Because my dad keeps asking me now, he's like, when are you going to retire? And I'm like, never. He's like, well, what do you mean by that? I'm like, I'm not retiring. I don't have this dream of I save X amount of dollars. It's going to return me X amount of time. And then I'm just going to sit on a beach somewhere. And I think that's the biggest thing. It's like, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you're going to be in business, you have to love what you build and you have to be willing to have it in your life for the rest of your life. And if not, get out.
Yeah.
You know, and again, you know, I do see, a lot of businesses even right now starting up and it's like, if it's Joel Friesen actually once, you know, Joel,
I love him. Yeah.
You know what he said to me once and he nailed it was, only passion projects in Victoria fly. Like if you have no passion and you're just opening it up, just to create a money machine,
it's true.
You might hit that flippant, like, trendy thing that Victoria will do, but it'll spit you right back out.
It's funny because like
that's true.
We've seen it so many times when Vancouver tries to come over
Yeah.
to Victoria.
Yeah.
And they try and plant their seeds here.
Yeah.
And it's just like, if there's no passion, if you're
Yeah.
not part of the community, if you're not giving back to the community, like
Yeah.
it's just not going to support you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. With your business, I mean, it's obviously been successful for lots of different reasons.
Yeah.
I'm always interested with successful businesses if there's a back end operational system that you use, or have you created one yourself, or do you lean into a pre-existing operating system?
Well, actually, to be honest, that was a lot of Adele. We had bits and pieces from my experience, from the previous owners, from, we're talking like 10 years ago now.
Yeah.
So technology was a lot different, right? And it's funny because lately I have been working with AI a lot in terms of just helping me summarize my thoughts. And oftentimes I used to just put everything into a notepad and they would just sit there forever. And now they don't go into notepad anymore, But anyways, so when Adele came in, she really helped us. Like, you should have seen our office. Like, it was covered, like we had these big sticky notes, right?
Yeah.
And like our whole office was just covered with like us just like, spitting all these thoughts.
Yeah.
And she helped us collect them, organize them. And what we recognized for all the restaurants is, like, as an example, we have a centralized HR. There's one HR person for all of the restaurants. We don't have like one manager per doing all of the hiring. We do it all from one spot. So we've definitely created a lot of systems which, when we do the actions and the work for one location, it's working for all four. But that in itself creates its own problems, right?
Right.
Like we call it HQ, but HQ now needs management.
Right.
Yeah.
And sometimes HQ is overwhelmed, and sometimes HQ doesn't have enough to do. So like HQ itself has its own wrinkles, and often, and sometimes, like it's like ebbs and flows. I'll be like, well, maybe it'd be easier if we all just took one.
Oh.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Maybe it would be easier if I just went back to Esteban, Brian, right? But then we're like, no, we're good.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's so yes, and in short, yes. And actually, I got contacted by I'm going to almost call him like a role model. He's a very successful chef in Vancouver. His name's Alex Tung. I met him through Instagram, like how most professional relationships form now. But I've just been watching him for a long time, like just his own family life, the way he eats, like the way he lives his life. He's been in the industry a long time. He actually connected me with a company called Chef's Table. And I don't know if you've heard about this or not, but they're kind of like a nonprofit that comes in and helps you like with your HR stuff. Like, do you have a respectful workplace policy? Like, we have a lot of that stuff in place now from Adele. But that's the other thing. It's like, the industry, like hospitality for the most part, like if you're not a Cactus Club or something like that, I'd say like 80% are still, they don't even do their books every month.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And it's not a knock on them. It's like they're farmers, right? In the terms of like, they're busy like growing the food, feeding the food. Yeah. They're not really thinking about the big picture of their business, right? And that's something that we've actually toyed of when we talk about future. I'm like, okay, well, bread, whether it's bread and butter or whatever you want to call it, but like, is there a place for Village HQ to, like, we could HQ any business. Like, any business could come and be like, hey, we're this is where things are at. This is where we'd like to go. What can we plug into your system? And we could probably we could do it for plumbing. We could do it for electrical. We could do it for anything. Is that maybe our future? I don't know. Right. But I am starting to now think about life after restaurants, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Is there a life after restaurants?
I don't know. I don't know. I keep getting pulled back. I don't know. I don't know.
What's out there that you're seeing that
maybe
interests
consulting?
you?
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
we
you're still
often.
part of the restaurants,
I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, and I think that's the biggest thing for me right now is like trying to just like bank the time to think about it. I never went to school, and I'll just go back to school.
Whoa. Yeah, you could.
But I love doing stuff like this. I mean, this is good, and
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys enjoy this as well. But yeah, it definitely needs to solve a problem, And it needs to be about a bigger thing than just my own personal gain, right? And so like I've been able to kind of put obviously all that energy into my children and my family, but my kids are getting grown now.
Yeah.
I don't want to lose that role, I guess. And so probably will turn my attention to something more like that once they grow up and they move on their own. They don't need me anymore.
Yeah.
And sorry, they're 13, 11?
13 and 11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
We've got
so
a bit
cute.
of
You've got
time.
time.
They're so sporty too. They do everything.
Yeah.
Soccer.
Bit of time.
It
What
keeps
else?
you busy, eh?
Skateboarding.
Yeah, we just
Running.
well, same with your daughter, but anything but boys, right? Like, we just want to keep them like distracted as long as possible.
My 16-year-old is like, I'm not dating. I'm not doing anything till I graduate.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, oh my God. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Oh,
yeah, she's
well,
it's great.
I'm almost going reverse now. I'm like, hey, you know, like, are you gonna smoke a cigarette at some point? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, are you gonna go to a party? Like,
She's been known to do things.
but
that
you know,
are-
like, I'm just like, this is not normal,
Right.
Right? Like, you guys don't. But they're just. I think, but our kids are more scheduled than we. Like, I wasn't scheduled. Like, I had so much spare time when I was 13, 14. I would work, and then that was it, right?
Yeah.
But it wasn't like. Now, like, there's 2-3 things, like, we see each other in passing all the time. Like, it's all the time, right? The kids are now they're different.
I like to
different
keep
level.
them busy.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure there will be so much time now that you guys know each other.
Yeah.
I know.
Soccer games are going to be better
Yeah.
because
true.
now you can share umbrellas.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, this time of year, it's not too bad. Are you in spring?
No, not
No.
spring.
Yeah. No, we are.
It's so funny. We were at one of the last soccer games, and Matt Phillips walks up to me, and I'm like, "Hey!" And I was like, "What's going on?" He's like, "Oh, my daughter's out there playing." I was like, "Which team?" He's like, "On your team." And I was like, "Wait, like I don't miss a game. Like, I am there."
Oh, really?
And he's like, "Oh no, she had surgery, and this is like she's just back for the last 2 games." I was like, "That's so funny." It's
Yeah.
just like it's such a small community. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember doing all the soccer practices with my now 25-year-old.
Yeah.
And it was years and years
Yeah.
of soccer. I love it.
Yeah.
Even talking about going to the soccer pitch
Yeah.
makes me want to go, even though I don't have kids playing anymore.
I get so excited when I watch.
Yeah, right? Yes.
Yeah.
It's so much fun.
Yeah, it's funny because I will catch myself sometimes. I think we all can find ourselves in this place where, like, what am I doing with my life? Like, I've been in the car for 10 hours today.
Oh, that's true.
It has nothing to do with work, right? But then it's funny, I'll catch myself and I'll be like, you know what? You're going to miss this. So, like, enjoy it.
Yeah,
and so this year I even said to myself, because, from January to March, the schedule was crazy just because my daughters, they pick stuff up and, like, typically you'll cut, you know what I mean? You cut something, but they're not cutting anything. So I'm like, oh, this is going to be crazy. But I'm trying to kind of have that, like, I get to do it. Because you won't for a while, right?
Yeah.
And I think, like, in talking about, like, roast and La Paz, there was probably moments where you're like, oh man, this is really hard.
Yeah.
You're gonna miss, going to the market. You're gonna miss even like the toughest days.
Right.
These are the days that we'll reflect back on.
Yeah.
This move that you're doing, like, even now, like, when I look back on the 24 hours after we closed the doors of the restaurant in COVID, like, I look back at those memories, like, really fondly, like, in a way, like, it was really hard, but I almost look back on the hard stuff more fondly than I forget the easy, fun stuff.
They don't stick
They
in
don't
your
stick
memory
the same.
Right.
They just don't, right? So
that's because we get through them and we
That's true.
succeed through them all.
Yes.
Otherwise, we wouldn't be talking about them. So every challenge we have ever met, we have succeeded through, or we got through.
Yeah.
It's the difference between, this word's been going through my mind all week, is unprecedented versus unusual.
Yeah.
And what we're going through right now is not unprecedented. It's just really unusual. And all our challenges are usually not unprecedented.
it's the new COVID.
It's the new
It
COVID.
doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't.
No,
Yeah.
you can't do the math on it. That's the thing about, like, all the things that every 4 years it happens, something happens, and you start adding things up and you're like, whoa, it just doesn't add up,
Yeah.
right? So obviously there's more going on than what, than what we see.
And
Right.
we will always end up on the other side of
We
whatever
will
it is. And
always.
we can always look back and
Yeah,
laugh.
I don't think of the market closure as a negative thing at all. I mean, it's just, I was there 12 years. I think that's like an accomplishment.
100%, always,
Yeah.
right? Well, 10 years in anything
Yeah.
is incredible. That's an
Yeah.
incredible amount of time, right? And the thing is the integrity of your business and the loyalty of your brand and the food, it's still with you, right?
Yeah.
So it's as long as that's the other thing. It's like the space is just the space.
True.
It's the spirit of what you bring to the table that actually is all the value. It's everything, right?
Mhm.
So I often that is why, going back to that landlord conversation, it's like, who is across from you and who's willing to do the work, because those that are willing, you should probably give them a little more. And the Jaws are really good at doing that.
Yeah, they are.
As an example, right?
Yeah.
Hansbron, they're really good at doing that, right? And I hope the new generation of landlords, because there will be a new generation now.
There
It's true.
is, yeah.
There is starting to be a bit of a turnover. So hopefully that they can understand that it's a partnership,
Mm-hmm.
and your tenant is like, they're a paying customer.
They
It's
are.
true.
And
You know what
customers
I
aren't
mean? It
always
should be
right. but
treated
they,
as such,
they
right?
should always be treated.
They're an
I don't
asset.
even want to
Yeah.
calculate how much rent I've paid over 12 years.
Yeah.
I did the calculation for the Hudson.
Yeah.
I forget the numbers. It was well over $1 million.
Oh my gosh.
And then when I stopped paying that rent, I bought a building for less than $1 million that I'll have for longer than 10 years. So
Yeah.
I figure I'm already winning by not paying that.
When you talk about the
particular
building, you're talking building like down the road from.
No, I bought a building out near Keating,
Okay.
where I moved my coffee roaster. So I closed
Okay.
down the Hudson
Okay.
throughout COVID,
Okay.
and my term was up.
Okay.
I'd been there for 10 years,
Yep.
and so it was time to move on. And I got tired of paying that landlord
Yeah.
$1 million in rent,
Yeah.
where
Yep.
because I walked away with nothing.
Yep.
You put $1 million into something, you
Yep.
expect to get something out of it. And
Yep.
all I got was, a wonderful customer base, really good memories, which are all
Goodwill. Goodwill.
It was all the
Yeah.
goodwill. And
Yeah.
that was great. But, you can't eat goodwill.
Yeah.
Well, and at the time, like, it's funny, hindsight, right? Like, yeah, we should have been buying the whole time. We shouldn't have been expanding,
Yeah.
right? But we weren't in that position. We didn't have.
We didn't think we were.
We didn't think we were until you
could
bought the first one.
always-
It's true.
It's
It's true.
We could have been
It's
doing
true.
it.
I agree. I
And
agree with that. Yeah.
We need to have these conversations so that the new generation coming up
Yes.
understands that
Yes.
it's not just for big companies
Yes.
and big corporations
It's
that can
not.
buy property.
I agree.
That's
Talk
important.
to the BDC.
Yeah.
I totally, I couldn't agree with you more. Like, well, the first three, like thinking about the Village, like those were great, but that fourth and fifth one, I mean, that amount of money, like we could have bought something
Right.
in that time.
It wasn't
you know?
even on my radar to buy anything.
No,
Right?
it wasn't. Well, it wasn't for me.
No.
Like I don't have the money.
Yeah.
Right. And then you like start unpacking it, and you're like, oh, well, maybe there is that opportunity there. And I couldn't agree with you more. So your roastery now, it's out at Keating.
Yeah.
And then is there a storefront with the roastery? I haven't
No,
been out
there's the ability for a storefront for sure.
Okay.
I haven't done it because it requires plumbing and electrical
Yeah.
and a new
Bathrooms,
business
signage,
license. Yeah.
engineering.
Yeah, but
Another
it might be a
100
tasting room, which requires nothing.
It's
Okay.
a super
And
cute room.
tasting room.
Okay,
I'm
okay.
doing air quotes for those
Okay.
listening. Yeah, so I mean, it will eventually happen.
And do you have any cafes left? Any
yeah,
storefronts left?
I got one
Which
on
ones?
Hillside,
Okay.
just 2 blocks away from here.
Okay.
in the Andrew
Yes,
Sherritt building.
that's right. Okay, yes,
another
that's right.
good
That's right.
landlord
That's
in
right.
Victoria.
That's right. That's where the bread and butter meeting was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Just
I
refamiliarizing
also
myself.
owned a cafe at the Provincial Museum. as
Okay.
well.
So would you say, like, for you, is your wholesale business kind of like from a percentage, like which ones are the cafes still kind of the
Cafes are still doing okay.
big sales, yeah.
They're just starting to come back now, though. I mean, we've been a real decline and real hard dip, especially this year. This last year has been a tremendously.
okay?
It was a hard grind.
Okay.
Harder than maybe COVID years.
Same here.
This
it's not even.
post-COVID
It hasn't
is-
even been close.
Yeah,
like
this
I'd say that.
post-COVID
I'd say okay. So
awful.
Good.
But
I say good because like if the three of us are all experiencing it, I'm like,
Yeah.
okay,
Oh,
at least,
everyone
like,
is.
we
It's-
are. Yeah. It's been, it's been, so what do you attribute that to for your specific business?
People, or for my specific business, we went through all the COVID years. We managed to borrow, beg, steal our way through it.
Yeah.
Customers have changed their habits significantly.
Yeah.
Office workers have changed their habits significantly to the point where we live in Victoria, which is a government town.
Yep.
And when the government continues to encourage their employees to work from home, that has pulled the rug out from the downtown lunchtime business.
Yep.
Every cafe, every lunch spot feels that.
Yeah.
Every
That
single
would be
one
my
of them.
answer too.
Yeah.
And we need people to go back to work, not only for their own health, because it's nice to meet with your coworkers.
Socialize
I mean, it's great when you're up north and you don't need to go into an office necessarily. But when you're living in a town that's its economy is being built on government workers, tourism, and foreign students. We don't have the foreign student body anymore, or that's slowly drying up. Tourism feels like it's drying up, or it's being very selective where it ends up.
Yeah.
And we have huge vacancies in our downtown office building. So any business downtown Victoria that's open for lunch is suffering. Normally, Monday to Friday would be great days. Weekends would be slower. Now it's like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, maybe, because Mondays and Fridays are flex days. And so people don't come into town and do anything anymore.
Right.
There's lots of things that could be done by the powers that be to make this better.
Yeah.
And I feel like the problem's being ignored because there's other things going on. In the world. And right now there is a lot going on, but it doesn't mean that we should stop looking and stop trying to make things better in our own backyard. Let's stop worrying about the world right now. Let's worry about what we're doing.
Totally.
And look into our backyard and fix it.
Yeah.
Fix it fast.
Yeah. I'd say like,
Please.
well,
please,
downtown right now, Ghost specifically is like, it makes me scratch my head a lot because, I actually think the offering is really good. I think from a price point, we're a little on the high end price point for ramen, but I think that's where it needs to be. We've done everything we can to sharpen our pencil. Even right now, we've been running $16 bowls of ramen, the whole menu, Monday to Thursday. We have done since March. I think we're going to have to continue to do it in perpetuity. Just to get traffic in there, just to help offset like the $8 in parking that our guests have to incur. The thing about Victoria downtown too is like geographically and like on paper, it's just like it should be so great, and I think that's why we all continue to stay downtown, and it's hard to kind of walk away from it. But I don't know, like when you say those things, you're so right. And the tricky part about working from home is I don't think it's that people want to work from home. It's that people want the flexibility.
Yeah.
So if they could just have a more honest conversation and allow people to be task-based versus hourly based away from their family, let people go and pick their kid up at 3. If they want to get to the office at 5, like give them the flexibility. But I couldn't agree with you more. Like there's just the traffic isn't there.
Yeah.
And then on top of it, it does seem like downtown too, like new concepts open all the time too. So like people are continuing to open more restaurants as well. So like market's also like incredibly saturated, right?
And it has been forever. I mean,
it has been forever.
Victoria has more restaurants per capita, third highest restaurants per capita,
and not
in
necessarily
North America
with good things.
Right.
That's the other tricky thing, right? People are always like I have no issues with good competition because what I don't want you to do is turn the customer off. So like if the customer goes to, let's call it Chipotle, and the Chipotle here is not being managed the same as the Chipotle in California, and he or she spends $15-20 on a meal they don't like, they now don't go out the same way as they once did. So I think that's my only issue with a lot of the businesses that are paddling out now. One, They're super expensive because they had to pay their $500,000 or whatever to build their storefront, and then they're not like giving the guest value, but then that reflects upon all of us.
That's true.
Right. So it is tricky. And then you have other concepts that pop up that are kind of more literally pop-ups that don't pay any rent, but they're still charging a crazy amount of money. It's like, meanwhile, you've got like blue chip businesses like Big Wheel is a good example, right? Sure. You know, they've held the line for a long time. They do a lot for the community. Yes. They've been around for a really long time. They're always there for you. They're there for you 7 days a week, same hours, rain or shine.
Consistent.
But then they're having their market share chipped away by businesses that just kind of literally just pop up and take some of that market share, which again, no hate on those businesses, but I'm saying like, it's hard enough already. Right. Yeah. So, you know, it's one of those things. It's like that balance between just kind of all the, like, I actually don't know what to do with Ghost Ramen. You know, I'm going to sit here and say it right now. Like, we can't possibly do more than what we're doing. I think you guys probably feel the same way. I don't know what we could do collectively to kind of plead, you know, people to come downtown, but they're not. Even when we discount, they're not coming the same way as they once were. Like, we've seen sales dip like quite significantly over the last little bit, and I don't know what the end is, because when I walk around downtown, it's everyone. It seems like everyone except Marilena.
And
which is
crazy, and that's a really high price point.
which is a great spot, but like for the cost, right? I'm like,
I can't afford to eat there. I probably won't go.
You know,
I
mean, it's fantastic. And again, it's
I'm sure it's fantastic.
It is
fantastic service,
but
fantastic
it's interesting
room.
because of where the economy is right now. We're all talking about how we're kind of keeping our wallets closer.
But
to
it goes
us,
to show where the money. It goes to show
Right.
where the again, right? It is reflective that the mid range to even the low range is quiet. But all of the high end stuff is really busy, right?
I've been saying this for years. I think the future of the restaurant industry, not only in Victoria, but kind of in Canada at least, we're going to see all the mid-range mom and pop shops go. We're going to have low-grade fast food and really high-end stuff.
Well, it's happening now.
Very little in the middle.
I agree. It's happening now.
That means all of us who aren't super rich, who aren't affected by global economics, we're all going to be eating fast food if we want to go out.
Or eating at home.
Which I'm eating at home more and more, which I hate to say because, I mean, we're part of a restaurant industry. I also want to say that I agree with what you're saying about downtown. We just had Mr. Bray on the podcast last week, and he was saying all the right things, which is great. I can't get past the fact that I grew up in Victoria, and downtown Victoria has always had a real great character to it. Like, it feels like it's interesting people and avant-garde people sometimes, and avant-garde restaurants and ideas flourish in Victoria. But when you see, and I'm not crapping on the owner of the A&W on Government Street, but when you see that kind of decision being made of putting fast food on our most highly prized real estate for tourists, for residents, for workers downtown, like that captured everyone that corner. And now it's just something that you could see anywhere. I mean, there's no vision being put through to help Victoria be what it always has been. Not that it has to be like that, but it feels like
nice. Well, it's funny.
These changes aren't working.
We were just we just went to quite a few cities just in Spain as an example, right? And they've done a really good job. Like, they all have their McDonald's, but there's not a ton of them. And people you see voting with their dollars are still supporting the local guy. And when you go to the local places, it's less to buy a coffee from the local guy as it is to buy the coffee from Starbucks. In fact, Asia, same thing. Starbucks is the most expensive thing you can buy. Like, you go to Japan, like, you can have a bowl of ramen for the same price it costs to buy a drip cup of coffee. People go to Starbucks. They have the density. But we are in a position of whether, I don't know if the landlords are giving them better rent. I don't know if they just have the support of the local people. I actually can't put my finger on what it is, but everywhere else in the world seems to do a really good job of supporting local.
Yeah.
And we say it, but I don't think we do it in the same, and I'm not slagging everyone. I just don't think we, just even how tied up people are with politics. Like everything that I see on social media, it's about American politics. It's all, it's all talking poorly about, hey, guys, we have our own election to worry about. Like, I don't understand why we're so focused on what's happening down south. We adjust accordingly. And even people like, I think I should start buying like Canadian apples. Well, like, I mean, what were you buying before?
Yeah.
That's why I don't get it. Like the knee-jerk reaction of all the things of how upset and how triggered people are. I'm like, well, yeah, like what have you been doing? Right. And that's why it's like, we should always be, I see it all the time, right? Because like one of my restaurants sits beside a Starbucks, so, when it's Santa's breakfast pancake season, like they knock on my door for the pancakes, but then every morning I see them walk out of Starbucks with a coffee. All good. No hate. Right. I was just more say it in a way of like, they're not even truly aware. Like, yeah, you want community-based things, go to Roast, get a check cut, right? You're not going to Starbucks.
Yeah. It's interesting because since the media release of the market closing and me keeping the communication about just come down, support us, just come say hi.
Yes.
You don't have to buy a sandwich. Like, just come see us.
Yes.
I've seen an incredible amount of support since then.
Right.
And it's like, but we need that all the time.
All the time.
All the time. I want to see you all the time.
All the time.
The trope in Victoria has always been, as long as I can remember, and I've been in hospitality since I was 14. I'm 52 now.
Yeah.
So I've been working in Victoria in the hospitality industry for a long time, and they always have said that it takes Victorians, or it takes the average restaurant in Victoria 3 years to either succeed or close.
Yeah.
It takes the average Victorian 5 years to try something new.
Yeah. But I get that.
I get that too.
I'm a huge creature.
Totally.
Like, I'm a big creature of habit, right?
Yeah.
And so I totally get that and understand that. And I think that's what I'm hanging on to right now. Like, well, as an example, right? I didn't even know that you had a place in the Victoria Museum. Next time I'm down there, I'm going to grab a coffee before so it's like, there is an awareness thing. Sometimes you just get stuck in Instagram world, but there's a 80% world out there that's bigger than like the one sushi place that you go to. And this actually has been really eye-opening for me as well, that I need to kind of put my money where my mouth is, so to speak, and vote accordingly and do the best I can to stimulate the economy, especially downtown.
Yeah.
But yeah, downtown continues to just it just continues to make me scratch my head.
Yeah.
And I'm not the one, like, I'm not negative slagging downtown all the time. You know how there's a lot of that too, right? Like,
I love downtown, and that's why we're still there.
And even like, yeah, we've had some issues with the homeless for the most part, but like all downtowns kind of have like that seediness to them. And to be honest, like lately, from what I've seen, like they've been more relegated. Like, they haven't been spread out as much as it once was. And I don't know if that fencing on whatever has helped, but like we've had some issues, but not insurmountable from our storefront, right? Like, I can't speak for everyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say the parking thing's a big one because I don't even want to go to my own restaurant because of the parking. Like my kids are always like, "Oh, Dad, can we go to Ghost One?" I live in Gordon Head, so I'm like, "Oh,
get through 12 different construction sites and then find
I'm
parking."
Like, Cedar Hill's blocked off, construction on Shelburne, so I got to drive downtown, then I got to park, and I go early bird. I got to pay $8.
Yeah.
Right? I don't even pay the bill. Like, I eat for free, and it takes me to be resilient to go to my own restaurant downtown. So I do understand where people are coming from. But downtown to survive needs more than downtown supporting it.
It does need people from Saanich and
it does
Langford, and like they need to,
especially that Monday to Friday piece.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. But like I said, we're just basically, as far as we're concerned at Ghost, we want to compete. we understand the price points of other bowls that are out there. So we just want to put it out there for people to try. And we're probably going to be on this for a while. We're basically going to write off any type of profit Monday to Thursday and just allow people the opportunity. All I care about right now is that our people that are working there don't become disenfranchised and bored because it's too quiet. Because we've had some, like, I've never seen it like this before. I don't know if you guys have had some days where you're like, it's just like zilch.
Yes. Yeah.
It's scary. Like it's like zombie apocalypse kind of stuff downtown. And you walk around and you're like, well, it makes me feel better that everyone's empty, but then that makes me feel even worse.
Because it's a bigger problem.
But you always look, right? Measuring stick, because if everyone else is full and you're empty,
then it's a
problem. You got to pull the thumb, right?
Yeah.
I mean, hey, you know, can we do better? Is there something we can do better? And I always want to start there because I can control that. I can't control if this guy's doing a truffle ramen with gold flecks, and I can't control any of the competition stuff, right? But I can control what I can do.
Yeah.
But when you look around and it's just like every parking spot is empty, you know, it's not, you know, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday are relatively decent, right? I'm sure you probably feel that as well. But yeah, have you guys been to the new brasserie yet?
Not yet. But I'm excited to see like what.
So do you guys know this? Do you know the story of who took it over? It's the Cafe Brio guys. So again, these guys, to me, I don't know them well. Right, I know of them.
I really like Vinny. He's a great guy.
The best.
Yeah,
I'm just kind of more like
Sam,
Cafe Brio. Thank you for saving that name and carrying on that tradition. Brasserie, thank you. I mean, these are ingrained in the fabric of the dining scene of Victoria. Again, we love shiny new things, and Victoria is very fickle. And I think and I was actually talking to Dallas from Vic Food Guys. I'm like, I think we need, like, if you don't mind, Dallas, like, you need to mix up some guests on here that like have been around. Like, you know, how come no one's ever interviewed Roz from Blue Fox? Like, how does she feel about all these invaders and these imposters like myself coming in and chunking into her 40? Like, I remember smoking cigarettes in Blue Fox as a kid.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, $3.99 breakfast special, all you can drink coffee.
Yeah.
You know, that's 20 years ago, right? So, but I do think, to me, and I guess maybe it's either showing my age, but there's a lot of blue chip restaurants in town that sometimes get forgotten about, but they've been here doing this for a really long time, and no one's here without them, right? I'll put Dutch Bakery in that. You know, there's just so many great concepts, but anyways, I'm so glad that someone saved.
And good
I
people.
couldn't imagine. Yes.
Good people with a good background.
Ambitious
in
too. Wow.
because
It hasn't, I mean, they took over Cafe Brio not even like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
So I'd love to have a conversation with those guys and see where they're at.
Well, it seems like from the outside looking in, it seems like they're going to, and what they've done at Cafe Brio as well is preserve the integrity of what has got it there in the first place. I guess almost similar like what we did at the Village. Like we didn't take the latkes off the menu.
Right.
We actually we listened to like the spirit of like the business, and we tried to really pay attention to the things that would like make it flourish versus moving my ego in and I can do this way better than whatever. Like they've got the brasserie brew, but they did listen to the hordes of people on that Reddit going,
I know.
To your
Yes.
point about that, I was in talking to Vinny at Cafe Brio because they got my
So
coffee.
is Vinny
in
the
there.
owner?
Yeah.
Okay.
Vinny and his partner Sam.
Okay.
And so I was in there with a coffee order for them, and Greg, the previous owner, just kind of walks in the middle of the day, and it's like hugs all around, and it was like you could see the torch being passed continuously. It wasn't when they signed off that was it. Now it's theirs. Greg still can just walk right in as if he had never left.
That's
It still has. It still has that Greg Hayes feel.
Talk about
there.
exit strategy.
Yeah. Oh,
right.
yeah.
You know, it becoming now your haunt, like the place that you go have a beer, right? And you check in with the young boy, and you pass the torch on to someone. Because Cafe Brio, I mean, they were booked out. You know, that's a good example of like when I look at exit, right? When I look at that part of my life, I would hate for the Village to like be nothing,
right?
And I would love it to go to someone else who can utilize it for the needs of what I used it for as well. And I think that's what those guys are doing. And now they're doing it at the brasserie, and who knows who they save next. You know, maybe that's
if
maybe
you want to hear more about
there you go.
If you want to hear more about the exit strategy of the previous owners of Cafe Brio, look at one of our podcasts. We interview Greg. And he explains quite a bit about that.
Okay,
it's pretty great.
Very cool.
I'm touching and drinking my coffee, and it's at the temperature that I now know it's been about an hour and 28 minutes of conversation.
That flew by.
And as much as we should probably have made this into a two-parter, we'd love to have you back. And
I'd love to do more of this. And like I said, if you know who you guys should interview? I said this to Dallas too at Vic Food Guys, if we can make it happen. Pierre from the Chalet.
Yes, absolutely. I have a connection there.
Do you?
I've been thinking about that.
Unbelievable.
He'd be amazing. I I also don't think he'll do it.
Yeah,
I think it's going to take a lot of convincing.
It would.
But you know who I thought wouldn't do it is Audrey
it,
Elserberg. I didn't think Audrey Elserberg from the Cascadia Bakery and the Rebar fame and talking about brunch fame.
Yes.
Was
That's right. I shouldn't have. Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay.
I didn't think she was going to come, and she came. So maybe there's hope for Pierre. Maybe I had to send him a couple love letters.
Yeah. but yeah, no. Thanks for having me. This has been great.
Is there anything that you want to plug or promote right now for yourself?
I wouldn't say just come downtown.
Yeah.
You know, come eat, come hang out, have a drink, ride your bikes. I mean, season's getting there. There's a valet. I mean, just come downtown.
There's a bike valet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's like
Centennial Park.
Centennial Park.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. Well, they had that. They did that for us. In all fairness, too, it's like my wife and I, like when we ride downtown, like there's e-bikes now. Like we treat it like we're like school children. It's awesome, right? It's just, can we get people to change the habits of doing that? Because I understand why you don't want to pay a $50 cab to come downtown. I get that, right? But come downtown, on Monday to Thursday, $16. I'm telling you, like, for that ramen, it's worth it.
Well, you got me down for a bowl.
Yeah. Well, we should do it together.
We should.
Yeah.
We should.
Okay. Great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for making time to
great.
be here. Although it sounds like you got plenty of time.
Yeah. Nothing but time.
Nothing but time.
Yeah.
And your time is valuable.
Yeah.
So thank you again.
Thank you.
And Marianne, thank you for
Thank you.
keeping Kaylin's seat so warm and so well sat in.
I wonder where Kaylin is today. Is he
think-
still in France?
Maybe Ireland, maybe.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Nice.
I know that was one of his last stops, and he'll be back next week, I think. So
Okay.
I don't know. We'll see if he's back.
Touch base.
Anyway, it was a real pleasure doing this with both of you,
Yeah.
and
as well.
I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thanks, Marianne. It's great.
Be nice, everybody.
Be nice.
I will.
Bread and Butter Collective's membership includes the following local businesses: 2% Jazz, Bunny's Kitchen, Buzz Coffee House, Eagle-Ite, Big Wheel Burger, Blue Mountain Solutions, Bodega Tapas Wine Bar, Eva Schnitzel House, Farmsgate Foods and Catering, Victoria Chocolate and Company, Drum Roaster Coffee, Habit Coffee, Foo Asian Street Food, the Culinary Arts Program at Camosun, Cafe Fantastico, Fall Epi, Harold Street Brewworks, Hey Happy, House of Botang, Nikkei Ramen Ya, Jenny Marie's Cracker Company, La Pasta, La Rue Patisserie, Mocha House, Part and Parcel, Poco a Pinto Bar, Pizzeria Prima Strada, Keating Pizza, Roast, Table 9 Consulting, Sherwood Cafe and Bar, Sweets by Selena, The Collective Wine Bar and Kitchen, The Drake, Tapa Bar, The Nimble Bar Company, Ruth and Dean, The Whole Beast, The Wienery, Spoon's Diner, Truffles-inspired catering, and Zambries.
To hear more from the Bread and Butter Collective, go to checknews.ca/podcasts on Check Plus, or find us on your favorite podcasting platform.